Okay, hello everyone. It's podcast number 6 of Nintendo Players UK. And this time we have Andy from Nintendo Manchester
Hello.
and Jen from Nintendo North Wales.
Hi.
Okay, as the title suggests, we're going to be discussing physical events because we're gradually getting back out there. And some people have it quite good. They can actually just go into a venue and say, could we have a certain table? And they'll basically set up their switches there, and whereas other people had to keep it outside for the time being. So anyway, I I do know that Jen has had a recent event for Nintendo North Wales. So how did that go?
Yeah, it was good. So basically, we actually started meeting again in the summer in July with
Mm-hmm.
two outdoor events, and then we had our first indoor event last month at the beginning of October. So we used to be based in Bangor, but obviously we're in North Wales. So the idea we set up originally was we're based in Bangor because that's where the accessible venues were. But because we use university venues, the university hasn't officially reopened yet. So we've had to look elsewhere for venues because we were so determined to be able to meet as soon as we were able to because we missed each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we ended up with Acme Games in Llandudno, which is a board game, tabletop game kind of shop, and it's got an upstairs with a room that we can use. But obviously, we want to do limited capacity. So we did 12 tickets last time, and we sold out by midnight on release. So we managed to have that in the room they provided, which was on the second floor of the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a good day. We had WarioWare, we had a bit of Just Dance going on, we had Mario Kart, Smash, all the usual favourites. And the added bonus for that particular venue is they had a little tuck shop in the room opposite, so they were selling little sweets and stuff as well.
Mm.
Oh, that's all
Nice
right.
going. Yeah.
So we're there next month as well. Well, next month, 6th of November is our next one. We're doing the same arrangement, but we've added a few more tickets in. So we sold out in 15 minutes for this event, which is nice. And we're focusing on Mario Party.
A sold out
Those
venue
are,
is a sold out venue. So yeah,
Yeah.
you go.
that sounds like Nintendo hardware sellout times. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice because we were worried when we put tickets out that no one would notice. Like no one, obviously, we announced them when they were going out, and people are actually waiting for them. So it's a nice feeling to know that people actually want to come back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, good going. Andy, have you started events again, or not started, or holding off?
Um, uh, we're on the opposite end of the spectrum here. We haven't started any events yet, and it's really because I'm concerned still about the COVID pandemic that's still out there and getting us. It's out there to get us, and really what I'm noticing is I go onto the government website, which has a record of the cases in various different regions, and it also has a record of the people who have had the first and second jabs. And what worries me is that the in the Manchester area, the number of cases, they're not that bad. There are worse places, but they're not that bad. But there are still quite a few people roaming around, spreading this around. And what worries me as well is the low intake of the vaccines. I mean, I've got the map open right now. So at time of recording of this, like in the centre, we've got like 40% of people who have got the second jab. In the lower area, like Hume and University, that's like 36%. Uh, and in the surrounding areas, we're only seeing maybe around about, I'm just checking a few of these, 53%, 54%, 59%. So we're looking at around about maybe 55% of people who have had the second jab.
Hmm.
And quite frankly, I don't want to host an event where there's going to be a high likelihood that someone is going to walk away from it sick.
Yeah.
And another issue that we've got at the moment as well is unfortunately our usual venue, our usual haunt, which is Bar 21 in the Northern Quarter, has sadly closed down. because of the pandemic. They're just not getting the numbers in. So we're not able to go back to the same place. So even if I did want to set up an event right here, right now, or in a couple of weeks' time, say, yeah, we're going to have an event, we couldn't go there. We couldn't go to the place that everyone knows and loves. So I would have to try and find somewhere else to do that, and I would have to go out exploring to try and find somewhere. I'm sure I could, but given the first point where the vaccination uptake hasn't been as high as I'd like it to be at the moment, I'm wary to start it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite understandable because I know you probably won't be like have people like pointing the finger at you, but it wouldn't be like I wouldn't say responsible if like you did get a few people that did test positive a few days after your event, and yeah, it would be a bit awkward. And I do understand that trying to get another venue is quite, well, I wouldn't say difficult because venues are open up all the time, but yeah, I would understand your needs that you don't want to be in a high risk area because who knows what's going on out there.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, more people are going to be vaccinated, and it's not going to be quite so much of an issue. In which case, we will be able to sort out possibly a new venue to have future events, and we won't have to worry about it quite so much. It will be up there like what the chance of catching the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something which we hold these events. Well, should I say, we all used to host these events all the time, and we didn't have to put up a sign saying, "Oh, by the way, if you catch the flu at these events, we're not responsible." But when right now, if we put up a sign saying, "By the way, if you catch COVID here, we're not responsible," that kind of gives out the wrong message.
It does, yes.
But at the same time, hand sanitizer is much more available now. In fact, when the very first lockdown kicked in of March of 2020, I was in planning of another like a mini meet at the time, and I was umming and ahhing about, oh, should I do it or not? And in the end, I ultimately had to say, no, I can't do this because we can't guarantee really everyone's safety because everyone else was going out panic buying hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
So what could we do? But now, of course, there's you can get that very easily now. So I suppose that's something that we can consider. And also as well, Bar 21, which is, like I say, was our usual haunt. They sold the venue to another like kind of mini chain of trendy bars. I think they've got a video game type esque place in Leeds. I forget what it's called. But Max, who was running the bar up until when it closed down, he messaged me and said, "Hey, so we've got these people buying the bar. We're closing down. Do you want to? Would you mind if I passed on your details to the new owners because they would like to keep the bar going like with the same kind of theme, and they'd like to have the same kind of punters coming in when it reopens and the same kind of events." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Send my details over."
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything yet. But maybe they've got a whole bunch of administrative stuff they have to sort out first over the next few months before they can contact me and do a grand opening again. But nonetheless, it means that we will be able to return to Bar 21 in some form or another. It's likely going to be under a different name, but yeah, we'll be able to return there eventually. But right now, I don't want to take the chance of putting people's lives at risk when the spread is growing at the moment, and there are so few people in and around the Manchester area that have had both jabs.
Yeah, that's very understandable and very respectable as well. Down here,
I'm thinking of you, people.
Yep,
I'm thinking of you.
I think, on the contrary, in Wales, there's a much higher uptake of the double vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact figures because basically Dolan's taken charge of the venue sorting this year. So But he's quite happy with the fact that the stats as they are in Wales, and also it's still a legal requirement in Wales to wear a mask as well. So I think that makes a difference, because when I attended the event in early October, I had a full-blown cold, but because I was wearing a mask, no one actually caught it from me.
That's good.
So, yeah, it's proof that masks work as well.
Yeah,
and a bit of distance, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we're not. I hope we're not triggering a whole bunch of anti-vax and anti-mask people with this podcast.
I hope so as well. Not saying that they're not welcome at my events, but yeah. Down here in Southend, things are steady. Down the road, we did have like Basden being the highest rate in the country, and thankfully that's dropped right down now. But yeah, since March, I'll say March, probably April last year, myself, as in Nintendo Southend and Nintendo Basden, have basically combined for the time being to be Nintendo Essex, basically holding our online meets, which have basically kept everyone going. We kept them like once a month, just to make sure we're checking in on everyone and still being a community, even though it's two different communities coming together. And yeah, it's worked out well. We are taking into consideration making another physical meet next month. But yeah, the way things are going at the moment, we may have to put those plans on standby again, just to be sure that there will be like no lockdown or any other sort of restriction. Going back to a few weeks ago at EGX, I kept my mask on all the time because it was a big venue, very spacious venue at the Excel. But yeah, again, I'm not saying I don't trust anyone, but
You're a bit more cautious these days.
Yeah, I was ill myself, much like Jen. Basically had all the sniffles and sore throat. But yeah, I made sure my mask was on at all times whenever I met anyone. I did see a few admins from Nintendo Players UK, McFooty from Reading, and obviously the Nintendo Basden people. So that was good to see. But yeah, trying to get a new venue for Southend, because I'm kind of unfortunate. My venue that I thought, I found the perfect place. It's basically an empty shop, which uses basically an art gallery, but it does have like PowerPoint, like plug sockets and everything, so we can just bring along our TVs and set up our switches and everything. But unfortunately, that's been sold and made into a barber shop, so I don't think I'll be using that venue again.
I don't know. Maybe you could arrange for a kind of Nintendo meetup / haircut.
Seeing it with WarioWare, you can't go far wrong then.
Yeah. I mean, like the Splatoon, original Splatoon was promoted in a skate park, so why can't we promote in hairdressers?
Although you make the link between WarioWare and the barbers, so long as they don't go as far as pulling the nose hairs out.
Yes, I
don't think the odd yelp in the background.
It's like ow. But yeah,
I've got to ask Andrew. You were doing. You say you were doing a live. Was it online events you were doing?
Yes,
for quite a while, and you were doing one a month. Yeah.
Yeah. We did stream them on YouTube. It was basically an experiment that could we do it? Could we connect our stream to Discord and see what people show people what we're seeing and this, that, and the other. So it did work out well, and thankfully we did have a few discussions off air where we were basically checking on each other, so that we're all well and that we're all still here and that we're all gearing up to going outside again. But yeah, it's just not the same as being at an actual event, seeing actual people and playing actual games in person.
Yeah, I completely 110% agree. It's just not the same. What I wanted to ask is, what kind of numbers were you getting to your streams? How many people were viewing?
Actually, it wasn't that many. Um, dare I say about a maximum of about 10. But then again, if they were watching the stream, no, if they were playing games during the event, they probably won't be watching the stream. Or the whole point of it being on YouTube rather than Twitch was because that we can play it back later, and yeah, like say to ourselves, this is what we did during the lockdown, and we kept ourselves going.
Yeah, because we tried that at Nintendo Manchester. We tried to have a few online streams to kind of fill in the gap. But what I found is a lot of people thought the same as you and I, where it's just not the same as an actual main event where people can get together and talk to each other, maybe order a burger and a Coke, and sit down together and play games, which is ultimately what the events are about. Um, when we had streams, it was quite often it would be like one or two people who were joining in. It was quite a low uptake, despite giving people um a lot of notice up front. Like this is coming up in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks time.
Mhm.
So if you want to attend, you can make yourself available. It's not a last minute thing, but yeah, the uptake would still be pretty low. So as a result, we have forgone doing many streams.
Yeah. So, Jen, have you done anything online at all?
Yeah. So we it's interesting that you're talking about it not being the same. So basically, lockdown happened, and because I had the anxiety myself, I struggled to adjust for the first couple of weeks. But we knew we wanted to keep going, but we didn't know how. So I started actually by doing an NPUK Central Tetris 99, which was really well attended. We had over 30 people syncing up for Tetris 99, and that was like, oh, this could work. But then I took it back to my community, and slowly everyone dropped off. So literally, we'd have nights where it was just me and Dolan sat on the voice chat with no one to talk to. So I think we honoured the original dates because we'd planned our physical meets up to 6 months in advance originally. So that took us up to the summer, and obviously everything from March 2020 was cancelled. So we kept those ones, and then we sort of drifted off. And by August, I actually personally gave up because my community descended into fighting, arguments. People just got really angry for some reason. We had a lot of like late teen people who were supposed to be at college and school, but they weren't, and they weren't quite being home tutored, and they were bored, so they were kicking up fights. And it actually ended up affecting mine and Dylan's mental health. So we actually went quiet towards the end of the summer. And I actually gave up, and I said I'll be back when physical meets are back. So Dylan basically took charge of the online presence from that onwards, and fair dues, he kept going. He kept showing up even though people weren't showing up, and we made sure we had like Mario Kart nights here and there, and we'd have the odd games nights. And even if one person turned up, we'd still make it happen. But I stopped taking part at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really go on the online meets now. Even if there's still a Mario Kart night, I just wait out for the physical stuff now.
Yeah.
But it was interesting, different communities, because where some communities came together, because I was building our businesses online, my business came together, but the community actually fell apart because people just didn't want to get along with each other.
Oh.
But we've survived is the main thing. So coming out of lockdown, we're still a community. The community didn't fall apart. I think everyone was just desperate to meet physically. And when we met for that first time in July outside, you could literally see the relief on everyone's faces. It's like, real people, real thing. We love this. Thank God for it's over. Yeah, so that marked the end of basically the sort of the fighting community, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to be out the other side of that.
And there are other communities as well which have been toying with the ideas of different kinds of events, haven't there? So we've got, I think it was Nintendo Nottingham, who sorted out a couple of park events, so outside events. Hope it doesn't rain.
Yeah,
and you can very easily socially distance, and you can wear your masks and everything, and just have a bit of fun.
Yeah, that was sort of an idea that we were toying with down here in or the Buzzton, and for some reason we just didn't do it. Don't know why exactly. I think everyone just had gone back to work and basically didn't have enough time to organise an event to be outside. But there was opportunities where we could go to a massive park, which we have been to before, and just basically set up our switches and just gather around in a circle. It's...
I was so excited for the summer outdoor meets that I didn't bring my Switch. I was literally there to meet people. I think there was about 4 people who brought a Switch for games, so they managed to have a multiplayer in the middle of the park, and we were just like, we got ice cream. That's our trademark for the outdoor meets. I remember the July event, though, because we went to get the ice cream at a certain point in the afternoon. We had a thunderstorm just as the ice cream orders were coming through, so we were dashing across the road in the thunderstorm to get undercover on the opposite side of the road.
Oh, dear.
I suppose if you didn't have your Switch and you just had your phone, I suppose people could get together and still play Among Us.
Yeah.
That's one game I don't have.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, there are a couple of parks in Manchester that we could do that. I mean, the obvious one is Piccadilly Gardens. It's less of a park now and more of a water feature, but that's one place that could have a gathering. There's also I think it's called Sackville Garden, where the Alan Turing Memorial is. There's a garden there, which is nice. It's shaded with trees and stuff, so that's another place that could potentially do an outdoor event. Or we could even go back to our roots with Bar 21, our usual haunt being closed down. We could go back to our roots where we started off in a certain coffee chain shop, which doesn't sell the pumpkin spice lattes.
Yep, heading back to the previous episode there. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, I know NX London, they also hold meets in a coffee shop, and they've actually picked up from where they left off. I know Marv down there, he basically kept the community going. He has got a strong following up in London, but yeah, it's good to see some communities saying, yes, we want to do an event this year, but we're not sure how it's going to go, or no, we don't want to do it this soon, and they wait out and see what happens. But it's just good to see the communities up and down the country sort of saying, okay, we're doing this. Basically, it is basically an experiment between like staying indoors, staying outdoors, or not doing anything at all. There is like a good chunk of the community saying, yes, we've done it. We didn't have any problems, and that's good to see. So, yeah.
So out of we've seen a few areas around a few groups around the country now doing various different in-person physical events. What would you say has been the most imaginative, the most original idea? Would you say?
Well, does it have to be online or outdoors?
I was thinking the physical ones where someone has had a whole new idea, completely different to what we would all normally consider, which would be a venue, or we book a room and we play a lot of games.
Yeah.
Maybe they've chosen somewhere else. I know, like I say, a few people have chosen parks.
Yeah, well, Jen mentioned opening up in a, was it comic book shop or a game, tabletop game shop?
Tabletop game, card game shop. Well, they've got a couple of floors above the shop, so we can hire a room out, which is nice.
So there's that. Down here in Essex, there's been, well, I was about to say 2 geek retreats opening. There's one that's still yet to open, but there was a geek retreat that opened in Chelmsford, where there isn't a Nintendo Players UK group at the moment. But yeah, we went to their opening day. They knew that we were coming, and basically we introduced ourselves, and everyone had a good time. But because it was a busy opening day, it sort of got in the wash, as it were. So like everyone, all the tabletop gaming people and all the video game people coming together, and sort of it did spread the word slightly, but yeah, unfortunately we haven't been able to get back there because Chelmsford is quite out the way, and we're just waiting for Belston's one to open, so we can basically use that as our base down there. Yeah, there have been a couple of groups that have basically turned around and said, "Oh, sorry, we don't want to do things too soon and not do anything until 2022." And I do respect their decision. The way things are at the moment. Oh, sorry, Jen.
It's all about demographics, isn't it? It depends how urban it is, I think, as well.
Very much so.
Population, because we're quite sparse up where we are, so it doesn't feel as risky.
I believe was speaking to Phil, not Phil, don't know who Phil is, Paul Russell of Nintendo South Wales. Yeah, he's not so much having a bad time trying to find a venue in the south of Wales, but it seems as if like different towns have their different restrictions.
Yeah.
So it is quite difficult sometimes for some groups.
He's also got other groups around him. So we were saying about Smash Wales of a base down there, and they basically got the venues that they would otherwise have, and they don't want to get in the way and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're the only group up here apart from the student societies, so we're safe again in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and over in the northwest, we've got other groups like Nintendo of Liverpool. I think that they're planning a whole bunch of things. I know that there are Smash events which are starting to emerge at this point. But I suppose one other thing you've got to consider is, I mean, Jen, as you say, you're in a relatively remote place, so it's safer for you to do these. And I think the point you're making there is that in contrast, places like major cities like Manchester, you've got a lot more people around, which means a lot more potential of spread.
There's a lot more to think about as well, logistics-wise.
Yeah, because it's a major hub for the country as well. Like you could jump on the train and probably quite easily get a train directly to Manchester. And if mostly when people are coming into the city centre, they're not going to be driving. I know only one person that drives, and I don't think she likes driving into the city centre. I know I don't, because it's just too busy. I'd rather get a train or even better, cycle to get in. And you've got to choose somewhere which is kind of central, kind of close to where these hubs are, and easy to find, so that people can, make their way like a beeline to the venue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of how it is down here in Essex. Because we're basically at the end of the line, it is easy to say we do have some people come as far as London, come down to Southend, because it's just one train line down to either Basildon or Southend, and they can easily just come to our meets and have a good time there. But going the other way from Essex into London, it because it's more populated, it does carry a bit more of a risk. And personally, I'm not too afraid to go into London myself, but I know certain members of both Southend and Basildon, they're not as comfortable with it, and therefore they'll just say no, we're not going. And yeah, it's bit of a shame sometimes that some people are mentally like blocking themselves, if that makes any sense.
They're being cautious. Of course, they're being cautious. It could be there certain situations as well. They might, who knows? They might have a job in care work.
Yeah,
and they can't run the risk of catching anything because it might spread to the old folks in the home, which, I mean, they're vaccinated, and quite a few of them should have their boosters by now, but there's still quite a large risk with that.
Yeah. Speaking of physical events, and I have obviously mentioned this a couple of times before, EGX, formerly known as the Eurogamer Expo, that took place a couple of weeks ago, and it did go well. It was kind of frightening. I wouldn't say frightening. I'd say a tiny bit weird seeing a huge population of people in under one roof. Sorry.
Yeah, that must
So
be really weird after the like year and a half, nearly 2 years that we've had.
yes, thankfully all the stands in the actual venue were all spaced apart. There was a huge corridor down the middle, so you can be like 5 meters away from like the next person if you really wanted, and everything that could have been like in terms of safety, everything that could have been done had been done. Every queue waiting in to go into the venue, there was like hand sanitizers everywhere. Everyone was encouraged to wear masks. In fact, they did sell a few outside Xbox masks, which sold very well because it is a big thing for EGX. But yeah, every single game had either alcohol wipes or sanitizer or both. So yeah,
That's all right.
yeah, precautions are being taken, and thankfully people are aware, and they're being shown, hey, please be respectful to everyone else. So yeah, it was I wouldn't say a weird weekend, but it certainly wasn't the same as like previous EGXs, in terms of like people just crowding around certain areas. It didn't feel like normal, but everyone seemed to like be on the same page. This is a good thing.
I imagine as well, anyone who's turning up in cosplay, they're probably wearing their own masks.
Yeah.
I think there are some who turn up as the xenomorphs from Aliens, and if you're encased in all of that,
you're sorted there because no one's going to approach you. But yeah, there were, like you say, a few people that were in cosplay, and yeah, they did incorporate a mask into their cosplay. So like, I did see, was it someone dressed as Link, but somehow they had like a green mask just to fit in with the rest of his costume, and yeah, it works out well.
The tunic.
Yeah.
I think I've seen something similar, but this was long before the pandemic. I attended an expo in Birmingham. That might have been another EGX. I can't remember, but nonetheless, they had a cosplay competition of video game characters, and one of the characters was Dark Link in his black tunic, and I think he was wearing a black face mask at the time as well, which fitted in with everything.
Yeah. So even back then, we were considered safe, but yeah.
But that one person at least.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see, like, I wouldn't say from November till, say, February, things are going to be really quiet because it is getting cold out there. Maybe people aren't so keen on the idea of having a meet outdoors. Plus, indoor venues will probably get a bit more crowded as people are thinking, hey, it's been such a long time since I saw everyone, let's all go out at the same time. So that could be the case.
So yeah, I imagine there's going to be quite a bit of an uptake in. That's certainly something that I'm considering is a Christmas stream for the group, because I imagine certainly at least at Christmas, if you choose the right date, people are going to tune in at least for a little bit. What about you, Jen?
We're hoping to have a physical Christmas meet, but venue is TBC at the moment.
Right.
All right.
So yeah, at least plans are in motion. So like we're all getting back up on our feet and making sure that we're keeping our communities going and hopefully all having a good time.
I
as
want a
best we
Christmas
can.
raffle so I can wrap them all up because 2019 we did Christmas done differently. So I wrapped up all the raffle prizes, but I enjoyed it so much I want to do it again.
That's actually a really good idea because
I love wrapping stuff up.
I've got a box full of Nintendo merch here that what we used to do at our events is hold raffles and stuff like that, and but we've still got quite a bit of a backlog.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it would be interesting to do that. I mean, the problem is, of course, is the cost of posting it all
Mhm.
when people win. Unless I can arrange for someone to come into town at a certain time, because I mean, I attend work every day. I stay away from everyone else because I cycle from here to the office and back. But I am in the city centre every day, so I could just meet up with someone from the group who's won something on the Christmas raffle and go, "Here you go, congratulations."
Mhm.
Something
Yeah,
to think about, definitely.
yeah. I do recall Will Ince of Nintendo Liverpool basically sent out a few bits and pieces to the other founders, like
Got a lot of
splashing.
Steam badges, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That was
yeah.
So,
mine. I didn't get anything.
oh, no, he his local game donated them to him. So basically, it wasn't actually a Nintendo thing; it was game, but still, yeah, I'd say hopefully we can have basically having fun indoors or outdoors or basically any way we can with in terms of beating up again.
I would love to return to physical events again. I love them.
Hmm.
I love going out. I love socializing. Oh, sorry, Jen.
You can always come and visit us.
Yeah.
Not a bad shout, because you know me. I'm double jabbed. I always wear a mask. I always have hand sanitizer, and I will check myself with a lateral flow test on the morning before I go over.
Hmm.
Oh, thank God, man.
And then I'll drive.
Lateral.
Yeah, and then I'll drive over, so I'm not going to be on a train with other people who may or may not have followed the same precautions.
So basically, your own little bubble.
My own little bubble. My own little convertible bubble.
Hmm. Yep. So.
Oh, I might hold you. I might hold you on that, Jen.
Keep an eye out for the date then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It'll be one of the first 2 Saturdays, presumably.
Of December.
Yeah.
That's of course assuming that Wales will let me in.
Yeah. I was about to say, hold on a minute.
We do have a semi-regular visitors from Preston and Warrington. They haven't been to the indoor meets because one of them has a dog, so the outdoor meets were suitable, but the indoor meets aren't. And we've got a guy coming from Preston who comes every now and again as well, so that's nice.
Thank you.
All right.
So I guess we can wrap it up there. Yeah, fingers crossed. Things will be physical meets will be back on the menu. Well, I was saying the menu, but back on our diaries and schedules, and yeah, hopefully it all goes well.
I miss them. I really miss them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
It won't be too long. It won't be too long. You're getting back soon.
Yeah.
There's plenty going on online centrally in NPUK to get involved in as well. If anyone's missing the happenings generally.
Yep. So Nintendo's.uk. No, NintendoPlayers.uk. I think I said that right.
That's the one.
Yeah. So, yep. You can follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We're on social media. Okay. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Andy. And thank you, everyone else, for listening. See you all soon.
Thank you all. Take care.